Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Come, right shoulder, on.
Please be seated and welcome Mr. Thomas Muir, the Acting Director of Administration and Organizational Policy for the Office of the Chief Management Officer.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, thank you for coming. What a great afternoon to celebrate the success of the Department of Defense's support to the combined federal campaign and the countless of millions of Americans and great causes that this campaign supports each and every year. Thank you so very much for coming out today and for taking time out of your busy day to share this moment with us as we recognize some significant accomplishments of your representatives and the remarkable outcomes that they achieved on behalf of our nation. I want to begin with thanking Staff Sergeant Christian Hoff for a wonderful rendition of our national anthem. Sergeant Hoff, thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for the national anthem. I'd also like to welcome the Honorable David Norquist, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Mr. Alan Reyes, and other distinguished guests, DoD campaign management teams, and most of all, friends and colleagues to the annual Combined Federal Campaign Awards ceremony. A special welcome also to Ms. Victoria Adams, and Mr. Luz Torcia, who led the outreach coordination teams for CFC in the National Capital Region and indeed overseas, as we recognize both the overseas contributions and our combatant commands today. We all showed some love this year when we got off to the strongest start we've ever had in years. It seems like only yesterday we're in this room when Secretary Norquist kicked off with a message of hope and the opportunity for us to contribute to causes larger than ourselves. Thousands of our colleagues have joined, many of them here present in this room today, to support our favorite causes, not just financially, but also with their volunteerism to our communities, making our communities a better place to live. I applaud the resilience and the selflessness you displayed as you added the word philanthropist to your official duties for those here to support the CFC. It's truly impressive when you think about, the Deputy Secretary and I were talking about this walking down, that the folks in this room generated nearly 50% of the contributions of the Department of Defense this fiscal year, with over $10 million, nearly $10 million provided by the folks that are being present in this room today. So a round of applause, please, to those that contributed. The lives of countless millions of Americans are better today because of your service. Your hard work makes this a better place to live and work, to raise our children and our grandchildren, to care for each other as a community. I want to begin this afternoon, by introducing our guest speaker today. We're fortunate to have Mr. Alan Reyes from the United Services Organization. The USO's mission, of course, is to strengthen America's military service members and their families by keeping them connected to family, home, and country throughout their service to the nation. I know many of you present here today, of course, those in uniform, those who have served the uniform, have always thought of USO as home. No matter where we've been stationed throughout our careers, it's been there for us. It's great to have Mr. Reyes, who not only serves his nation as part of a nonprofit, but still serves our nation in uniform as the Rear Admiral of the U.S. Navy Reserve. Mr. Reyes, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Muir, Secretary Norquist, distinguished guests. Most importantly, our campaign chairs and teams from the CFC organizations for the National Capital Area and for the overseas campaign. I want to welcome you and thank you for the opportunity to represent not only the USO, but literally the thousands of charity organizations that are supported by CFC. It's an important channel for us to be able to do the good work that we do, and we can only do that with the help of the people that give to our organizations through CFC and through other means. I was talking in the hallway earlier about something that I just want to share. Although I do want to share with you a little bit about the USO. This opportunity to remind all of us that the individual philanthropy and charitable giving by individual citizens is something that is uniquely American, uniquely part of our society. Many of us I know have traveled and lived and worked overseas and abroad, and maybe worked alongside some of our coalition partners or our allies or others from other nations. And when I get to do that as a member, as a representative of the USO, they are often surprised by the fact that I represent an organization that exists because of the strength and the support of the American people, not because of the government of the United States. Oftentimes, the mission that we serve, supporting and strengthening our service members and their families, is thought of by other countries as something that is uniquely and solely the role of government. But in our society, not only for the USO, but for all of our charity organizations, the ability for us to do our great work is only because it's buoyed by the individual giving of our citizens. And campaigns like CFC are a great way to make that happen. So I wanted to thank you all for that. I will tell you, the USO in 2019, we served nearly 13 million service members throughout the year, 230 locations, but most importantly, through the hard work of 30,000 volunteers around the world. I met Layla earlier tonight, this afternoon. There you are, one of our volunteers with the USO Metro here in the DC area. And that is really the kind of work that you all get to support through the CFC. Earlier in January, in the aftermath of the Iranian missile strikes in Iraq, the story of the USO can be told in the response to that. We have, and had at the time, and still do, staff members of the USO that serve alongside those service members in Erbil and Al-Assad, and they were in those bunkers alongside those service members as they were responding to the attacks. When the 82nd Airborne were mobilized out of Fort Bragg, the sergeant major there called a retired sergeant major that works for us in the USO of North Carolina and said, hey, we need some help to make sure that these Rangers and their families can get through this weekend really quickly. And we mobilized our team to be able to support their deployment from Fort Bragg. When they landed in Ramstein, we have a team there that supported their layover while they were waiting to get into country. And then further down the road, the story continues in places like Kuwait, in Arifjan, and in various camps there where they were poised. And again, when they finally made their way in country, again, where our staff is alongside their Erbil and Al-Assad service members. So that's the kind of work that we do at the USO, to be always by the side of our service members and their families. That's the kind of work that is enabled by the great support of our American people, that is further enabled by the hard work that these campaigns have done, knowing that the CFC here in the National Capital Area and the overseas effort constitutes the largest giving portion of this campaign, means that we're talking to the people that make a difference to our organizations and the people we serve every day. So on behalf of not only the USO, but all of those organizations, I want to thank you for the hard work that you've done for another successful CFC campaign, and looking forward to seeing you all again next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan, for those great words. It's my privilege today to introduce the Honorable David L. Norquist. Secretary Norquist was sworn in as the 34th Deputy Secretary of Defense in July of 2019. He, of course, served before as our Comptroller and Chief Financial Officer and as a Principal Advisor to the Secretary for Budgetary and Financial Matters. Secretary Norquist previously served as the first Chief Financial Officer for the Department of Veterans Affairs. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, David L. Norquist.
How's everybody doing today? Excellent, excellent. I don't know if your calendar looks like mine, but this is an awesome subject to be able to spend some time on in the middle of a good day. So let's start with thanks for the introduction, Mr. Muir, and thank you all for being here. Before I start, I'd like to add a special welcome and thank you to Ms. Victoria Adams of Global Impact and the other members of the CFC Overseas team, as well as our Department of Defense campaign chairs, vice chairs, campaign managers, loan executives, and especially the key workers who put the boots on the ground working tirelessly to make this year's campaign a success. It is my honor to recognize your hard work at the end of another season of giving through the combined federal campaign of the National Capital Area. This year, employees of the department here in the National Capital Area and overseas pledged more than $10 million, with some of your campaigns exceeding the ambitious goals we gave you at the outset of this effort. Working at the department and inside the Pentagon signifies a special devotion to public service. Contributing to the combined federal campaign is an extension of that devotion. It underscores how committed each of you are to improving your local communities, our nation, and the world. The contributions you have made will have an enormous collective impact, and we should not discount the importance of the 20,000 plus volunteer hours DoD personnel pledged to their favorite causes. For many organizations, that extra pair of hands to do the heavy lifting is invaluable. Your commitment to the department's goal continues to be remarkable. Every year you demonstrate your selfless dedication to philanthropy. These contributions will provide vital resources to the charities that impact the lives of literally thousands of beneficiaries worldwide. Many organizations and charities will benefit because of the department's generosity and dedication to community. As a truly amazing demonstration of DoD's generosity in the COCOMs, I am thrilled to announce donations of an additional $2.5 million from the more than 20,000 military and civilians in the overseas combatant commands. In closing, for all you do every day, I want to thank every member of the department here and around the world for your generosity and showing some love to charities around the corner, around the country, and around the globe. Thank you very much.
We're now going to present our organizational awards, which are based on data presented by the Office of Personnel Management. First to be recognized are our partners in the 5 overseas combatant commands supported by CFC Overseas. Military and civilian employees from the overseas COCOMs pledged nearly $2.5 million to charities supported by the CFC. The overseas team is represented by board members Ken Roush, Tammy Jordan, and Ray Sutton. Now to our DoD organizations in the National Capital Area. Please note these results are only for pledges made by employees in the greater Washington, D.C. area. Pledges made by employees in other regions are reported by those CFC zones. First is the Defense Finance and Accounting Service team led by campaign manager Anna Fernandez. Do we have Anna here today?
They're working their way up the back.
Okay. Excellent. Welcome, Anna. DFAS employees contributed more than $6,000 in 20 volunteer hours. They've earned the Impact, Participation Achievement, and Summit Awards. Thank you. The Defense Contract Management Agency team was led by campaign manager Paulette Allen. DCMA employees raised more than $19,000 and 36 volunteer hours, earning the Impact and Participation Achievement Awards. The Defense Security Cooperation Agency team was led by campaign manager Major Mike Comstock. DSCA raised more than $24,000 and earned the Impact and Participation Achievement Awards. Major Comstock is unable to join us today.
You gonna accept it?
I will accept the check. Thank you, sir. Okay, the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency team was led by campaign manager Ann Snellings. DCSA employees raised more than $33,000 and earned the Impact and 100% of Goal awards. The Pentagon Force Protection Agency team was led by campaign manager Helen Latella. PFPA employees pledged more than $35,000 in 15 volunteer hours. It will receive the 2019 Impact Award. The Defense Contract Audit Agency team was led by campaign manager Philip Hepperly. DCAA was the first DoD agency to hit goal. Its employees raised more than $44,000 and 164 volunteer hours, earning the Impact and 100% of Goal awards. Thank you. The Missile Defense Agency team was led by campaign manager Timothy McKay. MDA employees in the National Capital Area contributed nearly $62,000 and 136 volunteer hours. The Department of Defense Education Activity Team was led by campaign manager Cherry Somerville Webb. DoDEA raised more than $74,000 and 164 volunteer hours. It earned the Impact and 100% of Goal awards, and DoDEA also had 5 winning entries in the DoD campaign contest. Cherry, please. We also congratulate Ms. Somerville Webb, who is the recipient of the 2019 McCarter Richardson Campaign Manager of the Year Award for a small agency. Congratulations. The National Guard Bureau team was led by campaign managers Ron Skaggs and Captain Michael Ney. NGB personnel raised nearly $88,000 and 84 volunteer hours for CFC charities. The Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences team was led by campaign manager Tricia Crum. USIS employees raised more than $101,000 and 123 volunteer hours in 2019. We did. Yes, accepting on their behalf. Thank you, sir. The Defense Health Agency National Capital Region team was led by campaign managers Captain Alan Hall and Hospital Corpsman First Class Edgar Camacho. DHA employees exceeded goal by 6%, raising more than $118,000 and 60 volunteer hours. It will receive the Impact, Participation Achievement, Summit, and 100% of Goal awards. The DoD Office of the Inspector General team was led by campaign manager Paul Sternal. DoD IG employees raised nearly $114,000 and 305 volunteer hours. It will receive the Impact Award, and it also had 3 winning entries in the DoD campaign contest. The Joint Chiefs of Staff team was led by campaign manager Melissa Day. The Joint Staff team raised nearly $129,000 and 174 volunteer hours for 2019 charities. It will receive the Impact Award. Washington Headquarters Services team was led by campaign manager Jacqueline Jefferson. WHS employees exceeded goal by 28%, pledging nearly $128,000 and 1,500 volunteer hours. It will receive the Impact, Summit, and 100% of Goal awards. It also will receive 2 DoD Campaign Contest Awards. Congratulations. Please wait. Wait. We also recognize Ms. Jacqueline Jefferson as a recipient of the McCarter Richardson Campaign Manager of the Year Award for a medium-sized campaign. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency team was led by Campaign Manager John Watterson. DARPA exceeded goal by 135%, the most of any DoD agency. It raised nearly $136,000 and 313 volunteer hours. It will earn the Impact, Participation Achievement, Summit, and 100% of Goal awards. The Defense Threat Reduction Agency team was led by Campaign Manager Rob Bleck. DTRA raised more than $147,000 in 82 volunteer hours, earning it the Impact Award. It also had a winning entry in the DoD Campaign Contest. The Defense Logistics Agency team was led by Campaign Manager Watt Glow. DLA employees in the National Capital Area exceeded its goal, pledging more than $275,000 and 465 volunteer hours. It is the recipient of the Impact and 100% of Goal awards, and it had an impressive 8 winning entries in the DoD Campaign Contest. Wait, please wait. Wait. Come on back, come on back. We also congratulate DLA for being named the 2019 Campaign of the Year among medium-sized agencies. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency team was led by Campaign Manager Jeffrey Secord. NGA raised more than $428,000 and 546 volunteer hours. It will receive the 2019 Impact Award. NGA, yes, this is great. Thank you. The Department of the Army team was led by Campaign Manager Cynthia Odoms Cheatham. Soldiers and civilian employees pledged nearly $1.1 million with 6,142 pledges of volunteer time. They will receive the Impact and $1 Million Circle Awards, and they had 18 winning entries in the DoD Campaign Contest. Wait, please stay. I'm also pleased to announce that Cynthia Odoms Cheatham is the recipient of the 2019 McCarter Richardson Award for Campaign Manager of the Year. The Office of the Secretary of Defense team was led by Campaign Manager Ann Thomas Johnston. OSD employees pledged more than $603,000 and 1,043 volunteer hours for charities. It will receive the Impact Award, and it has 2 winning entries in the DoD Campaign Contest. The Department of the Air Force team was led by Campaign Manager Tammy Jordan. Air Force airmen and civilians pledged more than $624,000 and 506 volunteer hours. It is the recipient of the 2019 Impact Award. And the Department of the Navy and Marine Corps team was led by campaign managers Ray Sutton and Min Cox. Sailors, Marines, and civilian employees exceeded their goal, raising more than $2.2 million and almost 11,000 volunteer hours this year. They have earned the Impact, $1 Million Circle, and 100% of Goal awards. The Navy also had 13 winning entries in our campaign contest. Please wait, sir. The Department of Navy is also recognized as the Campaign of the Year among large agencies. Congratulations. Wait, we have a trophy coming. We have, I see we got. Yes. DIA. Oh, I'm sorry. I have skipped DIA. My apologies. The Defense Intelligence. Yes. The Defense Intelligence Agency team was led by campaign manager Major Chet Craw. DIA personnel in the National Capital Area exceeded their goal by 10% to raise nearly $750,000 in 520 volunteer hours. It has earned the Impact, Participation Achievement, and 100% of Goal awards. We also recognize DIA as tying for Campaign of the Year among medium-sized agencies. Congratulations. The 2019 DoD loaned executives will now join Secretary Norquist and Mr. Muir on stage. We thank the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, DLA, DIA, NGA, PFPA, and WHS for providing personnel for this program. Ladies and gentlemen, based on these results, Department of Defense personnel in the National Capital Area and overseas raised nearly $10 million for local, national, and international charities. Please join me in giving yourselves and everyone who helped make this tremendous show of generosity possible a well-deserved round of applause. Before we go to the reception, there are two final awards. We had a truly remarkable class of loaned executives this year, and we want to recognize two of them for outstanding service. Our first award is the David O. Doc Cook Leadership Award among loaned executives, recognizing Doc Cook's enduring support and leadership of the CFC. This year's Doc Cook Award is presented to Mr. Aubrey Moore from the Naval Sea Systems Command. Our second award is the John Moreland Loaned Executive Award for Operational Excellence. It is my pleasure to present the award to Mr. Gilberto Correa Ruiz from the United States Marine Corps. Congratulations, Gil. This concludes today's ceremony. Please stand for the departure of the official party. Please join us for a reception just outside of the auditorium, and thank you again for showing some love for charities